I'm Lisa, this is Cheese with Lise, and I'm here to tell you that you're probably putting too much cheese on your pizza. I mean, don't get me wrong, cheese is what makes the pizza, but too much of it and you'll compromise an immense amount of structural integrity as well as coveted crispiness. Now, there are a few things that I want to cover in this video. First, the history of pizza, obviously. Why mozzarella is and has always been the best choice for pizzas around the world, and how to whip up a pie at home that you won't be able to stop thinking about. Guilty. Honestly, it was hard to write a comprehensive history of pizza that was under 90 seconds long, but here goes nothing. According to my favorite book, The Oxford Companion to Cheese, many ancient cultures early on realized the convenience of eating something off an edible plate. For pizza specifically, its origins date back as early as 1000 AD, where it was a street food staple on the streets of Naples. Being relatively easy to make with few ingredients, it allowed poorer folks to enjoy an affordable and sustenance meal. The pizza we know, however, did not emerge until the late 18th century, when an influx of trade in Europe made Naples one of the largest cities on the continent. As thousands of people fell into poverty and an economy unfit for such a large population, people turned towards pizza as a way to produce large amounts of cheap food fast. Some traditional pizza toppings include garlic, salt, lard, oregano, olive oil, cheese, and fish. Pretty close, right? It wasn't until King Umberto I took his queen Margherita to Naples in 1889 when the pizza we know was born. Local pizza maker Raffaele Esposito carefully curated a pizza showcasing the Italian flag, topped with mozzarella, basil, and tomatoes. And thus, we have Pizza Margherita. Once Italian immigrants started showing up stateside, they brought their pizza with them. In 1905, the very first pizzeria in New York, Lombardi's, opened its door, and thus pizza began to take over the world. Upon Googling pizza stats, I discovered that Americans consume 3 million pizzas each year, and 1 in 8 Americans is probably eating pizza right now at this very moment. And that October is National Pizza Month. This is perfect. Anyway, the cheese that we use for pizza has come a long way. Traditional, by-the-book Italian pizza chefs rely on fresh mozzarella, with hard-grated cheeses being acceptable as a finisher. These days, your everyday New York-style pizza is probably topped with an ultra-pasteurized, low-moisture whole milk mozzarella. But this stuff is delicious. This kind of cheese is referred to as a pasta filata, or a cheese that has been stretched. Basically, it's just a block of the string cheese that you used to eat at lunch as a kid. And this stuff is perfect for pizza. It's salty, it's got a sizable shelf life, and it's dense enough to grate. But why this is opposed to, I don't know, any other cheese? I wanted to prove it. So I'm gonna do a science experiment to see how mozzarella stacks up against other cheeses. And I'm gonna use the scientific method. Ask a question. According to science, is mozzarella cheese the best choice for pizza? Do background research. In a study published by the Journal of Food Science titled Quantification of Pizza Baking Properties of Different Cheeses and Their Correlation with Cheese Functionality, scientists concluded that mozzarella had, quote, extremely different pizza baking performances from all the other cheeses, a hypothesis. If mozzarella is used for pizza, then it will bubble, brown, and melt in the way that I want. Test with an experiment. Procedure. Stand aimlessly in front of the cheese aisle of the grocery store and select 4 cheeses that you want to stack up against mozzarella. Determine that sharp cheddar, Gruyere, smoked Gouda, and Parmigiano Reggiano will give you the most variety in flavor and meltability while still being relatively accessible. Grate 1/4 cup of each cheese. Place the cheese on a silicone mat and put under the broiler to mimic what the cheese will go through as if it were on a pizza. Remove after 1 to 2 minutes and assess. Analyze data and draw conclusions. Now, there are a few things I'm looking for here. First, I don't want too much grease to separate from the cheese as it bakes. I want the cheese to brown without burning, and I'm also looking for the cheese to be able to stretch. I think this is really, really, really interesting. So, the smoked Gouda on the bottom right here barely melted at all. The cheddar above it is dripping fat over top of the smoked Gouda. I mean, it did sort of crisp up and it did brown, but it didn't really brown in the middle. The Gruyere at the top left didn't really do much. And then the Parmesan at the bottom turned into, a beautiful crispy thing that you could probably use for tacos or something. But I think it's actually really clear to see that the mozzarella is the one that browned the best. And it also browned in the middle. Do you see that? I thought when I was doing this experiment, I might have to come to the conclusion that it's just cultural significance that is what makes mozzarella the best for pizza, but you can actually prove that mozzarella melts the best. So with that, let's make a pizza. The first thing you're going to do is make a 2-day fermented dough. We have a spreadsheet to help us keep track of the exact ratios for each ingredient depending on how many pizzas we want to make, and this one is for 2. Also, we're nerds. On day 1, 228 grams of water, 13 grams of olive oil, 3 grams of yeast, 9 grams of granulated sugar, and 19 grams of salt go into a bowl. Don't do what I'm doing unless you're in need of a 4-hour workout. We ran out of sea salt. Give it a whisk and add 368 grams of bread flour. We use bread flour because it has a slightly higher gluten content than all-purpose flour, which results in a chewier crust. Stir with a rubber spatula or a stand mixer if you have it until it comes together, and then knead until smooth, about 5 to 10 minutes, adding flour as needed. Shape your dough boy into a ball and put him into an oiled bowl. We like to use these squeeze bottles for olive oil, just makes it super easy, I recommend. Cover with plastic wrap and throw them into the fridge overnight. On day 2, divide the dough in half. You can wafer size if you want to, I do because I'm extra, and knead them lightly to form 2 dough boys, mitosis. On day 3, crack open your favorite IPA because it's important. Pizza stone or baking steel goes into the oven. Check the description for more information on this is important. And crank your oven as high as it goes. Let the stoner still preheat for an hour because this will help you achieve a crispy brown bottom, and in the meantime let your dough boys come to room temperature. Give in to your little angel baby nugget asking for cheese, and make sure you bring your beer with you to your prep station. Start stretching out your dough from the middle using your fist to create a crust. Place your dough on a super lightly floured pizza peel, adjust the shape, and give her a shake to make sure it's not sticking. Apply a layer of raw tomato sauce, a super simple and delicious recipe that I've linked in the description, and then the moment we've all been waiting for, the cheese. So I like eating grated cheese out of the bag at 1 a.m. as much as the next person, but there are a few reasons why you should always grate your own cheese. Pre-shredded cheese is covered in a plant fiber called cellulose, and that keeps the cheese separate. It not only keeps the cheese separate when it's in the bag, but it also keeps the cheese separate when it melts. So when you melt cheese on pizza, you want it all to be in just this one beautiful brown layer. Another tip about grating your own mozzarella cheese specifically is to freeze it beforehand. It just makes it a little bit easier to grate the cheese and you won't get it all over yourself. Keeping the cheese cold also slows down the cooking process of the cheese, so it actually allows the dough to catch up so it's not gonna burn on top of your pizza. Yeah, I would eat this stuff at 1 a.m. Apply a thin layer of cheese to maintain a crisp crust and sound structure. Ask your dog to move and gently shake the pizza onto your steel or stone starting from the back of the oven. This part takes a little bit of practice. Now, baking the pizza largely depends on your oven, and since we just moved into this apartment, we're still figuring it out. This one took 2 minutes at full broil, plus about 4 to 5 minutes baking at 550. Keep a very close eye on your pizza to make sure it doesn't burn, then gently shake the pizza onto your peel. We use a metal one for this part because it makes it a little bit easier, but this is not necessary, and let your baby cool in a wire rack. Finish her with a hard cheese. I use a funky, salty pecorino to add depth of flavor and rich saltiness. I promise you this adds so much. Lisa, you're left-handed. Either use your right hand or put the camera on the other side. Anyway, we like to finish our pizzas with olive oil because it adds an amazing acidic bite, even more depth of flavor and richness to your pizza. Highly recommend. Look how thin and crispy the middle is. Look at that thick, soft, flavorful crust. There are so many little things you can do to add more flavor to your pizza, and in my opinion, it all starts with good cheese. Damn, I wish you were here to try this. And that is it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Making pizza is so much fun, and with a little bit of practice and patience, anyone can do it. I am so excited to continue exploring the world of pizza. This is definitely not gonna be my last pizza video. And if you like what you saw, make sure to, as Foxy says, like, comment, subscribe to Cheese with Lise, and follow Cheese with Lise on Instagram. And I've linked all of those recipes and resources in the space below that I was telling you guys about earlier. This has been episode 2 of Cheese with Lise. Stay cheesy. Hey, Foxy.